functions is the second main building block in programming, and it's basically a collection of related tasks that you can save in named groups and efficiently apply anywhere within your action script. Let me just open up a new layer here and I'll start some actions. I'll call it my action script window and just talk around that a little bit. Now there are a number of built-in functions in Flash, and one that you might be familiar with is the stop command. And you can see here stop appears in blue because it's a built-in function. And the syntax basically is stop, parentheses, semicolon. Now functions are typically like the verbs in a sentence, so they're often action-oriented words such as stop. Another one that you may be familiar with is the go to and play function. And again, you can see here that it appears in blue because it's a built-in function and it has the parentheses. Now with the go to and play, we actually add a frame inside of the parentheses. So I would say go to and play 5 to represent frame 5, or if it had a frame label on it, I would put that in quote marks and just say label with closed quote marks. So this is the function here, and inside of the parentheses you have what are called the parameters, and depending on the type of function it is will also dictate the type of parameter, especially with the built-in ones. Now the power of the function is that we can custom build our own functions. So I'm just going to delete this right now and give you an example of that. Now let's say I wanted a function that could add numbers. There's two things I need to do. I need to declare the function, and then I need to add the function. So I'll start by declaring the function by using the word function, which appears in blue, then space, then apply the word that I want to add as my function. So I'll actually use add numbers. And I'm using what's known as camel case. I have an action word at the start, and if there's a second word in that, I start it with a capital letter. We never use spaces in function names. So add numbers, and then I'll put the parentheses, and then declare the data type. And in this case, it's void. Then I'll go down to the next line and add a curly bracket. Now if I hit my return key, I should get a closed curly bracket. And all of my actions will be declared within the curly brackets. So I'm just going to use the trace command, which will show in our output window, and I'll go trace, then brackets, parentheses. I'm going to say 1 plus 2, and then close parentheses, end the statement with a semicolon. So if I was to run my movie now, nothing would still happen. I still need to declare the function, or rather call it up. So I've created the function by declaring it. So now to call it up, I will actually use the function's name, add numbers, brackets, rather parentheses, semicolon. So this command will actually execute the function. Now it appears as black because it's a custom function. So let me just close my action panel here, and we should see it appear in the output window when I run the movie. So I'm just going to go test movie. And there's the result. In my output window, the result is 3 because I said 1 plus 2. Let me just change that code and demonstrate that working again. So I'll highlight my code. I'll just call up my actions panel here. I'll just say 5 plus 2. 5 plus 2. Okay, and close that. So I should see a result of 7 in my output window when I do a test movie. And there is my result. Okay, let's take this a step further now. Let me go back to my timeline and call up my actions. Okay, now a function as you can see here, has the parentheses. And as I mentioned just a little earlier, what goes between the parentheses are known as parameters. And this actually adds power to our customization. So let me add some parameters to the function called add numbers. I'm going to add the two numbers that I hard-coded in my command line. And I'm going to give them names, if you will. I'll call it num1. And then I'm going to declare the data type with a colon. And the data type is capital N-U-M-B-E-R, which is number. Then I separate that with a comma. And in this case, I'm going to put a space in. It's not necessary, but it reads easier, I find. And give my second parameter, call it num2. Declare the data type. Again, it's a number. Okay, so I have two parameters here for my function called add numbers. Now I'm going to change my trace code. Instead of saying 5 plus 2, I'm going to say num1 plus num2. That means that when I code this add numbers, I can actually put custom parameters in here and add the different numbers and not have to create a whole new function every time out. And that's the point of this, to be efficient, to create a set of instructions that I can call up and apply unique parameters every time. So let me just type in 5, 10. So that means 5 represents the num1 parameter, which will be applied in my command right here. So these two numbers should add up at this point when I apply the function add numbers. So I should see a 15 in my output window. So let me just run the movie. And there's my result. So let me close this and again show you some of the power of the function that I custom made. Just call up my actions again. I can duplicate that function. So I'll just copy that. Copy that. Return, paste, return, paste, return, paste, and I'll just change the parameters. So here I'll say 100 plus 15, 5 plus 2, 2.125, and let's just say 45, and the last one 10, or rather 5 plus 1. I'll change that 5 actually to an 8. Okay, just arbitrarily picking numbers, so I should see the results of all 4 of these functions now. So let me just close this window, run my movie one more time. Test, and there are the 4 results. Again, this time I used parameters, and really that really shows the potential, the power of creating your own custom functions. Now I only created one action, one real set of commands in here, but you could have, unlimited numbers of commands to apply. So let me call that up again and just show you. When I'm talking about commands, I mean this trace command. I could have a go to and stop. I could have, you name it. Anything that I can do with programming could be a subset of a function and be part of a bigger picture and a more complex bit of coding. So to declare a function, we use the word function, then we give it a name, and then we also can establish parameters inside of the parentheses. And then we apply it by declaring the function by name and giving our unique parameters inside of the parentheses. And that again is how we create a function in ActionScript.